Hey everybody, Captain Keith here from MarineMax in Clearwater. And look at this. I am not in the Med, I'm not in Spain, I'm not in Italy. Unfortunately, we're here at the Clearwater showroom with Captain Sandy.
Thank you, Captain Keith, for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
It's great. So we were just fortunate enough, we just had a Women on Water class here today.
That was awesome to witness, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Sea Ray is put this on for us. As you can see, we got the Sea Ray swag and Sea Ray gear here. We've got the 37 Dancer here as well. So we've been running demos and stuff on that today. Sold a few. So that's all good. I'd just like to ask you a couple questions about the show and just pick your brain a little bit.
Awesome.
So today was a Women on Water class, and we had, 25, 30 ladies here, something like that. Yeah. Malia on your show. She's been on several different episodes.
Right.
Worked her way up, so now she's bosun, but she's also got her captain's license and stuff like that. And it's, as you being a captain, what's that like as far as the getting the women into that profession?
Thanks for that question, because Malia is a perfect example of how Bravo has really reached lives, and also the opportunity for me to kind of change people's trajectory in life.
Right.
So Malia, when I first said, hey, you want to be a captain, you'd be a great captain, you're very clear, your communication style, you're a great diffuser. And she's like, sorry, Cap, I just want to be a dive instructor. So the next day, she was on anchor watch. I wake up and she goes, hey, did you look in the log and see what I wrote? And I go, no. She said, I looked up my captain's license, how to get it. I signed up for the courses. So sometimes the little conversations that you have with people make such a huge difference. And now what I love about Malia is that just because she's on the TV show doesn't mean she stops her career. Because a lot of times, a lot of crew are there for TV. They're not there for a maritime career. And Malia's there for a career. So yes, she went and got her license. She continues to work on a vessel. And I'm sure it hasn't been easy for her, but she's a great navigator of personalities. And I saw the potential in her.
Well, I mean, and so are you. I mean, how the situations that you're thrown into and stuff like that, how do you remain so calm, or are you really going crazy, but it's just on the outside? It's like, like the little duck underwater, right? You see the legs are paddling like crazy.
Well, you're a captain. So, calm, calm brings calm, right?
Yep.
If you're not calm, you bring that energy. So for me, if I stay calm, it's a natural thing for me. I'm naturally that person, but also I think the training is a huge part of it. So when you're trained and you know your ABCs and the rules of the road and you know everything that's happening, even with personalities, we take an STCW course, and one day in the classroom is all about personalities living together, hygiene, personal hygiene, and it's a full day on how to get along with people. So my thing as a captain, I know I have a business to run, I have charter guests on board, but then I have some meltdowns. And what I do is I just think about, where are they coming from? I put myself in their shoes and think, how would I want someone to talk to me? And that's what I do. So I'm not going to yell at them, because when you yell at people, you get zero results.
Right, they shut down.
Right, exactly. So I just calmly have a conversation. And I sometimes say, look at where your feet are. You're on a super yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean. That's what you have to think of. Right. And count the cash under your pillow.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Kind of like those cash meetings at the end of the show. Kind of almost jumping back. How did you get into the business? How did you end up in this situation?
Well, I was that kid that was just kind of lost in the world, and I had a lot of fines to pay back, so I had to get a job. And back in the day, as you know, we looked in the newspaper, and the help wanted ads, and I found a job washing boats. And that's how I got started.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, that's awesome all the way up to that. So I've been watching the show. I've been binge watching it and stuff like that. It seems like the weather, you just you spend an inordinate amount of time almost. You can't leave the dock.
Yeah, so unlike America, unlike the East Coast of the U.S., we have weather trends, right?
Right.
Because basically it's flat.
Right.
When you get into the Med, it's very unpredictable. In fact, when you hear the weather forecast, it's 40% accurate, 60% it's not. So it can shift. So on anchor, beautiful sky, it's almost like the mountains burp. I can't,
Okay.
like the cold air, the warm air, and the wind just kicks up from nowhere, and the skies are as clear as like it is right here in Clearwater. And one day I was at breakfast. We were on this 6,000 ton mooring line, and the way that our anchor, I was on a Hatteras, and the anchor's on the outside. It's not in a pocket. We had been swinging on anchor, and it chafed the line.
Oh, wow.
So the wind went over 100 knots, just like that. Clear sky. There is not a cloud in the sky. And all of a sudden we broke loose, and I'm like, oh my God. So I ran upstairs for 15 minutes. It blew like that, and then it was gone.
Wow.
So when we go to leave a dock, I always have to look at the forecast. But then there are different forecasts, and it changes, it shifts. And that time of year, when we film, the season's basically, that time of year for the
coin,
weather.
you don't know what you're going to get. It's going to change.
So you always have to plan your escape, right?
Right.
I do leave the dock, but also the insurance companies mandate that we're not allowed to leave the dock over a certain wind speed.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. So a lot of times I could probably get off the dock, but I
Right.
can't break that law.
So anchoring, that's even our customers, our clients, right? So I do the orientations and the training and stuff like that. That seems to be one of the toughest things that people like got to figure out how to do, especially when you're trying to get into a beach and you're using a stern anchor. I know you'll take lines and tie them up to the rocks and stuff like that, but you got to watch out if you swing around and it's a delicate dance.
Exactly. And I think in the U.S., the currents are a lot stronger than they are in the Mediterranean. It's more wind. However, anchoring is something that can be learned. And I think the more you practice, the better you are. And there are procedures that you do to anchor. It's like we all know you drop your anchor and you come back on your anchor, right?
Yep.
Until, I don't know, 5 times the depth. In bad weather, it's 7 times the depth.
Yep.
So we put out 5, and then we start letting out more chain as I feel the boat jerk back. So when we're talking on the radio, and I make them hold their hand wherever the anchor is.
Okay.
So this is, medium slack. That's, hard,
Tight.
right? So it's like, yeah. So when I know it's like that, then I bump it astern, and then I go like a knot or 2 behind. I put it in neutral, and you feel the boat go like that.
Yep, you've got to set that anchor. If you just drop it down there and it's just sitting right on top of the sand or the hard bottom, and you don't pull it back and set it and hook it, you're just going to end up just drifting around and doing all that. So.
And also looking at a chart and saying, is this mud, is this sand, is this gravel? Because that really determines how well the anchor holds.
Right, and those of you with windlasses too, it's hard to judge how much anchor road you're putting out. So you'll notice on her show, right, they've got different colors on the chains or the shackles. So it'll be red or it'll be green. And she knows what the depth segments are on that.
That's right.
So like I'll recommend our clients, you take your anchor road out or chain or line, and you can put ribbons on it, you can spray paint it, you can color it. So at 40 feet, you see a red stripe go out. At 60 feet, you got 2 or whatever, just whatever works for you when you're there at the helm and you can see it go out. Because you try to count maybe a foot a second, but then you lose track.
Yeah, and that's such great advice, because anchoring can make your day trip or kill your day trip. Because if you're spending your time with your anchor dragging, that's not fun.
No.
You want to be in the water, so make sure you secure your anchor. That's great advice, painting the chain. I mean, the smaller boats should paint their chain.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe MarineMax could do that for them.
Yeah, our riggers need something else. You never know. All right. So I've been taking some notes. So our clients picked to be excessively harsh. And it seems, sometimes you get great guests, right? I mean, but then it's like, for real, where do they come from? I mean, it's like, can you really be that obnoxious?
Well, I think the cameras make people drink more.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you have these cameras in your face, it's a little uncomfortable. Most of the clients are amazing.
Yeah.
I think when you add the alcohol and they're not getting the level of service that they want, because they're always talking under the breath behind the crew's back, just like the crew are talking under their breath behind the guest's back. It's like, on a super yacht in their charter business, it's a little different, because usually the principal charter client pays for everybody.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he brings his friends.
Right.
I think on some of our stuff, people split the cost. I don't think one person pays. So, it all averages. Who knows their financial situation, but they're not casted for drama. People are casted, they only cast one person. They're casted for personality.
Right.
They're casted, they don't want, in any business, I always say to the owner, you have TV at home. You're here to enjoy your boat, right? So why is the TV so important to people on a boat? I don't get it.
Thank you.
And the thing is the other part is you want to keep them active because you want their memories to be incredible.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Keep them active, keep them in the water. You have all these water toys. And that's what I always say to my crew. They go, oh, they haven't asked for the wave runners. I go, it's not their option to ask. Like, it is their option to walk out and go, wow, I want that toy or that toy or that toy.
Yeah.
Every toy that we own goes out every time, even if it never gets used.
Yeah.
And that's really a big part of it. So the clients sometimes the alcohol really takes over. And if you keep them in the water and exercising and playing, then they're having more fun than they are drama.
Yeah. So and the alcohol, I'm wearing the Sober Skipper wristband, which I sit on the Sober Skipper National Advisory Council Committee. So those of you that are drinking or partaking or any on your own boats and stuff like that, designate a Sober Skipper. Have somebody and maybe you own the boat, but you don't always want to be that guy. You've got friends that can run a boat or whatever, and just kind of take turns to go around. So you're hitting all the little restaurants and the bars and stuff like that.
I need one of those.
I'll get you one.
Because I'm a sober skipper.
Yep, we got to be. So Lisa Harrison had a question for me. She wanted me to ask you, what's the hardest port that you've had to maneuver and get into? And
Everyone thinks my docking and Saint-Tropez was like so wild, but it was actually not hard because when you're in a very tight place, you're protected. And when you're going stern to, once you're between the ground lines, you're in.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere. You're in. Sometimes we have to go like this and the prop washes the boat out. The hardest port I've ever been in, two marinas, one's in Rome. They call it it's the Rome Marina. And on a following sea, so they have two big bollards, that like big walls. You have to go through two. And the beach is right there.
Okay.
So the minute you're coming in, you've got a following, because you're always going in on the following sea for some reason in the Med. I don't know why. So as you know, those are really hard to control your boat. But the minute, because you're giving a little throttle to stay in front of the wave,
right.
And then all of a sudden you're on the beach and you're throttling back. And I'm telling you, the bow of the boat went over you could see the shade over the people's heads on the beach. So it's really small turning basin. That marina and San Remo.
Okay.
Another following sea,
right.
Hard marina to get into. Most of them, I have to say, obviously they're tight when you're in there, which is fine, because
right.
Unlike here, there is not a lot of current in the Med.
I mean, actually pulling a boat or a yacht into a slip that's tight sometimes it's easier because it's almost like a shoe, like a shoehorn, right?
Yeah.
So you're squeezing in, and if you've got your pilings and all that stuff, but if you've got a big wide gap, space, there's too much, things to push you around and blow you around. And like I tell all my clients, if you can back into the wind or back into the current, you've got better stability, you've got better maneuverability, because it's kind of like a flag on a flagpole. So I've got a 250 SDX sitting over here, right? And if the current's going that way and I'm backing into it, that motor's your flagpole, the bow's the flag, and it has to follow where you're pulling it, right? So if you go in the other way, that wind's going to push you right past your slip anyway, and then you end up doing it that way. So coming into a slip, go ahead, turn around and do a 180 if you have to. Go past it, do what you got to do, but try to back into that spot against the current, right?
Yeah, because your props are back there.
Exactly.
So it's steering you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. That's why the Med's so easy. I mean, people look at it and they're so intimidated. I'm like, actually, it's a lot easier because you're just going stern too. But when you're on that size boat and you have a 27 knot wind on your beam, it's a little harder.
So, and those of you that watch the show too, you notice how important communication is. They've got the headphones, they've got everything else. I mean, they're calling out distances and all that stuff. So if you've got a yacht, from us, or anybody that's got a yacht and visibility is reduced or whatever, get, you and your wife get hooked up on the microphone and the earbuds so you can talk and communicate. So it makes it that much easier.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of people, when they buy new boats, obviously you train them. I always say get your guests involved because it makes them feel like they're a part of the solution instead of freaking out. Oh my God, we're in bad weather, we're in rough seas. Give one a lookout, hey, you watch the radar if there's a radar, or you just keep, the binoculars on, make sure we don't hit anything. And that's what I do. I was in a really bad situation in Saint-Tropez. We were anchored off, and they have what's called mistrals. And the mistral, the wind blows. Everybody wants to be at the dock. And actually, people died during this particular mistral. And I'm talking super yachts, dragging anchor. Everybody's like driving, motor yacht scats, like driving around in circles because their anchor won't hold. A lot going on. And my clients, I was on charter. So they were all on the bridge. And I just made it fun. I'm like, well, he's dragging, but we're not. So here's this, I'm giving away a little secret, but so I, you know how you have the cables on the charts? It's like no anchor zone. Well, there's this one corner and I go, I'm going to go anchor near the cable, right?
Right.
Well, apparently people have dragged that cable out because it wasn't on the line because I anchored a cable off of the cable.
Right.
That's a distance. And our boat never drags. So we go to haul the anchor and the crew go, we got the town's cable. I'm like, put it back in the water. Just put it back because that's like, it's not good.
Right.
The good news is I didn't destroy the electricity to Saint-Tropez, but our boat didn't move. And, that the client, we made a joke out of it, but we kept them engaged, we kept them involved, and they weren't scared.
Right. That's great advice. So when you are not chartering, let's say for the TV series, right, for Below Deck, are you running other charters or other yachts and stuff?
No, just personally, but not for other people. Obviously, the show keeps me busy.
Right.
I do have to run some boats to maintain my license, which I do. I was actually going to take a job in this season in the Med, but it didn't work out. So I will. The problem is people don't want to hire me because I have to get off the boat sometimes and go, I got an interview to do, or so it's difficult.
So like with my license, I got 100 ton. Do you have to renew every 5 years,
Yep.
or
Every 5 years.
So it's the same?
Yes.
It's the same
Yes.
thing. You got to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. What do you think about nachos?
Okay, so I personally like nachos, but I don't think a super yacht client, unless requested, should be served nachos.
Those were the most hideous looking. Like you took a jar of Frito leg
poured
cheese or something on the. I mean,
And then they're
I love
torched and
nachos, but I
melted
mean,
cheese.
man, make them like gourmet.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna make tater tots, make them
You
gourmet
can make a
tater
nacho
tots.
look really amazing, right? They're
Yeah.
so, yeah, I always share this. A super yacht chef can do any cuisine. The last cuisine you're going to see is nachos, right? So they challenge themselves. So these meals are incredible. And I think we give a lot of opportunities to people who want to be super yacht chefs.
Right. Makes sense.
I got to deal with them. So, hey, I just want to encourage people. I share this as well. And I said this to Kiko. If I ran a dinghy, a canoe, I was a captain of that canoe, and I mastered my canoe, and I get offered this super yacht to drive because the owner has no idea. Should
Right.
I take that job?
Of course not.
Right. My point, exactly.
Right.
Because now I failed. And now he knows I failed. Everybody else knows I failed. And I failed myself. Because I was so big and grandiose that I was like, I can do this. But guess what? There's limitations. And you don't go from 0 to 100 without going 10, 20, 30, 40,
Sure.
50. And the same thing in boating. It's if you want to be a chef, a super yacht chef, then get the training. And work under a super yacht chef. If you want to be a captain, start on small boats and learn your way up. No matter what you want to be in life, you don't go from here to there and get that position. You have to work hard to get there. There's a speech by Denzel Washington. Everyone should Google. He did a commencement speech about 5 years ago. It's called God First. But in that speech, he talks about each one teach one. And he also talks about dreams are just dreams unless you have goals. And every day you work on your daily goals. The speech, I watch it all the time to remind myself, hey, I can't get here until I do all this work. Because, 56 years young, I go, why don't I have this? Well, I haven't done the footwork. And that's really it. Each one, teach one, and goals. And you do the work.
You know what? I think that's a great place to cut this off and leave this right there. That's some great advice. Captain Sandy, it's a pleasure. It's
It was
awesome meeting
Yeah,
you.
you too.
I'm glad you're here. And
Thank you.
we'll see you guys out on the water.